All right, Nathan, what's been happening? What's been going on in the life of Nathan De Asha?
Nothing, bud. Just sitting back, getting fat. Been training now, like 5 weeks, something like that. So back into my stride, slowly getting there. Wean myself off the fucking alcohol and the party, supplements. So I'm becoming a bodybuilder again. For the short period I've got left.
I don't think anyone else says party supplements. It's like every bodybuilder when they're talking about supplements, they're talking about gear. You know what I mean? So
you can. It depends where you're from, innit? You can call an XC gear. I don't know. Well, it's the same. It's the same thing,
Either way, it's fucking up your liver.
It's funny, man, because a lot of my mates that I went to school with, they were saying like, oh yeah, like I'm getting on the gear, and I'm like, oh, for real? And I assume they were talking about like bodybuilding gear. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they were talking about something totally different. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, getting on the gear this weekend. Not,
Yeah, sure. I had a little burnout. I done my biceping, and then it gave me that extra, even though I lived a separate life than bodybuilding, it gave me that extra freedom to not go to the gym, do what I want, and just be a normal guy again, full time, And for me, it's opened my eyes a lot. Even though I didn't focus on bodybuilding as my main source of like life, I realized that I contributed a lot of time to bodybuilding, to where I had this age limit to 40. That was my retirement age, and now that I've saw my bicep, now obviously the age limit's come down a little bit. So probably retire in 2 years.
For real.
Rather than that, because I've got a lot more. I've seen a lot more in life, and just that little thing. I don't want to be fucking walking around at 40 or 40, 50 with fucking torn up biceps, bad knees, and walking around. It's just not for me. So I think that was a blessing in disguise for myself. And just basically but at the same time, it made me realize that I do miss the gym, and the gym is a part of my life. So the 12 weeks I had living as a normal human, it was refreshing.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, like, you've been in it longer than Brett and Martin, so it's a little bit different for you. And obviously, you're a dad as well. How much, obviously, all the, the unfortunate passings in bodybuilding with Cedric and Sean and all that, seems like it's played a pretty big role in a lot of guys saying, hey, I'm going to retire 35 or 34 or whatever age, and it's obviously you're saying this now. How much does that play into it, and how much does plays into it that you've got kids and all that sort of stuff?
Zero, because I don't really, them guys are my, I know them, they're not my friends, but at the end of the day, you choose to do the sport. If you're gullible and you don't realize what you're doing to yourself, then you're kind of stupid. I took on this sport knowing that my family has a high risk of cancer, 2 genes, BRCA1 and BRCA2 breast cancer, and yet I still decided to go hard when I was 20 and just do heavier cycles than what I do now. It was my own, it was my own personal own choice. So I think that for me, the deaths have got nothing to do with it, because I look at it in the case of when your number's up, your number's up. You can't cheat death. You're meant to be called at that certain time. As a Christian, that's how I'm raised. So, I just live every day to the fullest, mate. And I just, the deaths are sad and it's unfortunate, but I think a lot of the guys knew what they put themselves in for. But for me, from the word go, 40 was my age, because I looked at it like this, 20 years supplement free, 20 years on the gear, and then 20 years getting my shit back together. And then, anything past 60 is a bonus.
Yeah, for sure. Now, before we get too far into it, man, because I want to ask you all about like the soccer and everything you've been going to, or football, as you guys call it over there, which sounded pretty mental. Brett, how you doing? I see like look like you're getting pretty big once again in your off season.
Yeah. So first off, we got to start it off here with we got to tell the initial viewers that we got to decide on a name, right?
Yeah, we do.
So we got to get a name on this podcast, because we asked us and we just threw out nothing really. Came up with Pump and Dump. Came up with another rep podcast. Came up with something that we probably shouldn't air. But so make sure, if you're watching this and comment a name to keep this going, because we are going to keep this going. This is our outlet just to chill and talk with these guys. I mean, all 4 of us are in totally different, time periods throughout the world. So it's good to be able to still talk bodybuilding, especially, now that we're, I know I know Martin is, and Xavier, you know, we're secluded, you know, especially that's what I wanted to do. Cause I moved down here. I'm now secluded. I work from home. I train, you know, I go to the gym for 2 hours and that's it. But this allows us to, you know, talk what we love to do, you know, bullshit and have fun with this. So I'm excited, you know, be on this. It's funny. I've been involved with Nathan in different things. I've never been on podcasts with him. So now this gives us an outlet to shoot the shit and stuff like that. But besides that, yeah, no, I'm excited for, you know, just to get on here and talk with you guys. And, you know, it makes the bodybuilding season, especially preps, go faster when you have this to look forward to. And, you know, with me right now, we just got down here and settled in Florida. So I'm out here, you know, on the East Coast. I live in Port St. Lucie now, which is right next to Stewart, where Revive and Raw are. And it's really starting to take off this week. So got all settled, really, you know, pushing training. That was the goal. Weight's coming back on, you know, with travel and shit, you know, lost about 10, 12 pounds, but it's already back on. So I was back up like 274 this morning. So I really want to, and I know these are going to be questions already, but I really want to compete again this year. So I'm really going to push hard these next few months to set myself up for that and hit one of the later shows this year. I might have to go over to the, you know, to the not UK, but just so have to go overseas for a show or something like that. But I'm excited, you know, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I got a chip on my shoulder personally, because I didn't think, you know, I you know, Martin knows this too. I didn't show out what I'm capable of at the Arnold. And so now you know, it's more about proving. I don't really, you know, for us, we don't give a fuck what people think. It's more what we think, you know. So I got to prove something to myself that I know that I can bring a better package. And so that's really what I'm working towards, because I want to end this year out strong and then set up for next year. So it's all grind, man. This move was just about get down here, just start fucking grinding, and then, you know, do things like this for fun. But it's all work from here on out. And that's where I'm at with my life right now.
Yeah, man, it sounds like you got a lot going on. Like with that move as well, were you driving any part of that? Because I saw you like just traveling around a lot. I'm like, you driving, flying back and forth? Like, what are you doing between Denver and?
Well, yeah, we flew down. So it was Denver to Florida, and obviously that's cross country for us here. It was a 30 ended up being 33 hours in a U-Haul.
Yeah, wow.
So we did it with one stop. We stopped at one hotel for like 6 hours to sleep, and like I ended up driving like 24 to the 33 hours just because I got so stubborn. I'm like, I'm not fucking stopping. We're just doing this. So,
bro,
you know, living off protein shakes and pretzels, and like we had a dog and a cat and you all with us. It was chaos, dude. It was just this little area, just us. But we got it done, man. And like I said, once we got in here and settled, it just felt all worth it. And I'm now, you know, this is our first true home. You know, we've been renting all the way up until this. So got a home, really good area. And like now I just feel comfortable. And this is the spot, you know?
Yeah. How accomplished did you feel like after that drive? Because I drove, it was 37 hours from Perth, which is on the west coast of Australia, to Melbourne, and across there, like, because in America, you've got all the different states along the way. In Australia, it's literally goes from Western Australia, you go through South Australia, which there's Adelaide, which is one city, and then you get to Melbourne. So it's basically just a lot of land that's just nothing. So it's like sort of like you go through deserty parts, you go through all sorts.
You go to the outback?
Yeah, you go through like part of the outback, but I was expecting to see heaps of kangaroos everywhere. We're going to see heaps of wildlife and all that. Man, there was nothing. I saw, I think, one roo the whole time until we got to like Tasmania, which is where, because we got on the boat from Melbourne, then went over to the top of Tasmania, then drove another 3 hours down to where I'm at now, which is in Hobart, Tasmania. And like I saw, it was like 35 bits of roadkill from me, that 3 hour drive in Tasmania. And I saw, I think, one the whole way over the other 37 hours, which was pretty crazy. But it's just, man, just stopping at some of those like petrol stations or whatever you guys call it over there, gas stations along the way, and just seeing like these people that live in the middle of nowhere. I'm just like, man, I'd go like crazy. Like it seems like totally insane that people could actually live out there like with no one else around.
You'd be surprised, bro. There's some hillbillies out there everywhere.
Dude, there's some weird people. And actually, like when we got to Tasmania, I checked out this because there's a famous like town that we sort of drove sort of just past, and there's like these murders there where this guy was basically like, you know, hillbilly sort of guys that married their sisters and all that sort of stuff. And they basically like chopped up a whole bunch of bodies and put them in these in this acid in an old abandoned bank and all that sort of stuff. And we drove through there and I looked it up. I'm like, it sounds about right when you see some of the people that you like see along the journey. You're like, yeah, I'm not surprised a couple of them are a bit fucked up like that. So
I would have drove faster. You just gotta get the fuck through.
Yeah, man. We hardly stopped. That was the thing that when you said, no, fuck it, I'm doing this. Because we messed up with the time, and we basically had like the ute that we had a ton of stuff on, and we basically like strapped it down and pallet wrapped it. and then we had a trailer on as well. So we were like carrying so many tons of basically our whole lives. And like an hour into the trip, the pallet wrap was like ripping off and shit. So it was just like, basically we just lost hours upon hours. And then we was going to stop twice along the way. We didn't stop once. I think we stopped for like an hour and had a nap. And then I got too much anxiety with Tara driving, but I just thought like, cause she's a bit loose with the driving as well. So I was like, and there's trucks going past and I was just like, I couldn't sleep. So literally I was just napping for like 15 minutes and just like going like this the whole way, like until it was my turn to drive again, just stims and stims and stims pretty much. So it was mental. But before we get too far into it, Martin, how you doing, man? Obviously I saw you guest pose over the weekend at the Branch Warren Classic, looking pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, man, things are coming together really good for me. So I'm down here in Texas now. As everybody knows, I was up in Denver with Brett, and we just both ended up going our own ways. So now he's in Florida, I'm in Texas. We were just texting about what we wanted to get accomplished this year. And I kind of knew that he was planning on doing something this year after we talked, because I just had that feeling. I knew that he's got that same chip on his shoulder that I had last year. So now everything is clicking 100%, man. I'm right at 6.5 weeks out from the Texas Pro. My conditioning is probably the best it's ever been in my life, or if not close to it, from when I won my pro card. And I mean, Branch is just getting ready to turn up the heat on me. So that'll be really exciting to see what happens there. We're running a couple high days now, and then we're going to go really low over the weekend. So kind of see what happens there. I'm training with Branch every day now. I was training with Keon pretty consistently. But when he made the switch over to Patrick, he kind of changed up his training and his schedule a lot. And I really didn't want to change much from outside of what my off season and how much progression I made there. So I just wanted to stick with what I was doing and how everything went there. So I just called Branch and said, "Hey, bro, you push me." And it's been one of the best decisions I've done, man. I literally get destroyed every session. We train arms yesterday and I almost puked.
Really?
So that kind of shows you and puts it in perspective. I mean, his goal every day right now is to murder me. Today we had legs. It was like one of the best sessions I've ever had until I tweaked my quad. But it's not a bad one. It's probably, I'll have to take a week off of training probably. Brett's been with me when I've done something very similar, like when I tweaked my sweep in that hack squat. Same kind of thing, just a couple fibers rolled up on me. But it's the name of the game, man. When you train heavy and intense like this, things like that are going to happen. So mentally, he's really good for me in that too, because I probably would have fallen apart today and had a meltdown, but instead he pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, everything is going to be okay." That was the best decision you could have made, by calling it after that rep and knowing that even though you could have got more, you were going to hurt yourself way worse. So those were good things for me. But overall, man, I'm in a perfect place, man. I love Texas. I love the environment that I'm in. I love training in the heat down here. And I'm just having a blast, man. So I'm just trying to be Branch 2.0 and having fun doing it. So.
And man, with Branch as well, he's the best dude to take advice from in terms of like injuring himself, because he tore his quad and then came back and won the Arnold like the next year, which is pretty much unheard of.
8 months later, bro.
Yeah, that's insane. And like I look at, like, I know it's obviously like Dave Palumbo's older, but he like tore his quad and he's literally fucked from 10 years ago, and he still doesn't have the full range. So it's lucky that Branch got back to, obviously lucky, plus also he's like determination and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, bro, he's a psycho. There was no way it was going to stop him.
Yeah, he's nuts. Nathan, so I wanted to ask you, man, about the whole, like, you obviously following Liverpool and stuff with the football over there. What went down, man? Where did you travel to? Like, because I heard there was like a bit of controversy.
I go everywhere. If I can take my son to the games, I will. Right now, we have like a lot of like fucking just fans that are not really fans, just like latching on. Yeah. So the ticket prices are fucking extortion. It's like just last year alone, bro. It's like it cost me at least, in dollars, like $30,000 on tickets just to go and watch fucking football. You know what I mean? Wow. It's a piss take. So if I can take my son, I will. But we went to Paris, the last one, and we got beat, but it was mayhem. Ended up getting like fucking CS gas or pepper spray 3 times in my face, trying to get in. Couldn't get my tickets, weren't working. Fucking you weren't allowed in. It was just manic all over. It's basically like a herd. It's something that I don't want to experience again. And to be honest, bro, France is a fucking shithole. You know, it's not
Don't like it.
Going back. You know, I'm there next week. I'm trying to say I got PTSD or some shit and not go. But it's fucking. I hate the place. You know, the police there, like that's like a fucking like the fucking cock up to the ass or something. It's the pain in the ass. You couldn't move nowhere. They were against us and everything. And to be honest, it was a disaster, bro. A total fucking disaster from start to finish. Flights getting cancelled, hotels upping the price on us. You know, for like one night in hotel where we were staying should have been like €45, which is like $60. Ended up being like €280. You know what I mean? Just because we're English. So hopefully next season we can do a lot better. But it was a pain in the ass. My son was crying to go, but in a way I'm happy he didn't. I didn't even get to watch the game. You know, as you guys seen on my phone, it was just like a fucking onslaught. And you know, I was walking around one hand with an empty bottle in my hand, and the other hand had the fucking bottle smashed up. You know, because obviously you had them like I don't know what they're called, like Africans or something, but all immigrants just trying to rob your watch and shit. You know what I mean? Wouldn't even be after like fucking shitty ass Rolexes and stuff, but it was the pain. It was the pain in the ass having to go into a football match and then having to try to fucking, you know, basically fight your way out to get home. It was a fucking total nightmare.
Do you get treated worse being a Liverpool fan compared to the
Yeah. But the Hooligans were not. We're just passionate about the sport, you know. You know, it's like for some reason that's like a stigma on Liverpool, say like the Hooligans, and we cause more trouble. You know, it came out that English police were there, proved that we wasn't the issue. You know, we were fucking abiding by the rules, where we were allowed to go, where we wasn't allowed to go. But it's the stigma thinking of the store football Hooligans, that England in itself is a country like that, when it's not. You know, all the governments just portray us wrong.
Yeah, for sure. I actually had a listener ask a question. We'll get into more of the questions later.
Yeah.
He basically asked what's going on with those police officers that, you know, we all saw the video and I interviewed you afterwards. What went down with all of that with those actual officers that, you know, you were literally
a nice compensation claim.
I saw you won another case, so obviously that went well. But what do you know what happened to the officers?
No, so on my COVID claims, I kept my job open over COVID, didn't I? For the whole 18 months, made a shit ton of money. I didn't even give a fuck. Made a shit ton of money, and then I just done it for the money. I didn't give a fuck, you know.
Good for you, bro. Good for you.
Yeah, fuck it. You know, open my business, so I've done it for the money. And then I won all 7 cases, and then they end up having to pay me my court fees, which was like 20,000 or something. So I got that all reimbursed to myself, plus the money I earned, plus all of the shit. But for the assault charge, that's going ahead as we speak, because in the UK you can't sue the police if you've got a criminal action proceeding against you. Now that all the fucking charges are all dropped, you know, I'm looking a good 6 figures, like. So
nice.
You know, I got a little nosebleed and started coughing, you know. Plus my pro athlete, I got to hurt myself, hurt my wrists, you know. So fuck it, you know, I'm good.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I saw I don't know if you guys saw, but Lee Priest, because he was in that car accident or something, I can't remember exactly how that went down, but he ended up getting a payout, I think, of about $600,000. He said they took a whole chunk for, you know, all of his different fees and all that sort of stuff, so it ended up being 400 and something K, I think. But he came out
right?
pretty good. But it's like considering what it's done, you know what I mean? He got all that nerve damage and stuff. It's, you know, made it so real hard for him to ever make a comeback. Sort of sucks, you know.
Yeah, but you put that money. If you put that money in, your fucking money needs a piece. You know, if you put that money into bricks and mortar, or you invested in something, a good financial advisor, he's never gonna win Mr Olympia anyway. So you're never getting that big boy check. But you're gonna get a proxy fucking 10,000 from winning the show. You got more than that at amateur shows, right? So you put that money to good use, you make way more. It's about investing in the right ways.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you guys a little bit of a topic I wanted to discuss, because obviously, like for the smaller pro shows or the standard sort of size pro shows, the prize money is 10K for first place, which is 10K US. And even, I mean, many years ago, the prize money was 10K for these shows as well. I remember Darren Charles was sort of known as the king of the $10,000 shows, because he'd just go and win those. But obviously with inflation, with obviously, you know, the cost of everything going up, you would expect, I suppose, like the equivalency was maybe now 25K. So guys would go and hit those shows, get 10K, which is really worth more like, 20K, 25K nowadays, and it would be more worthwhile. Like, do you think that's, I suppose, the fact that, guys aren't doing maybe as many shows or don't want to do a whole rung of shows? I know obviously you do a lot of shows, Nathan. Do you think it's partly because of that prize money? I'll ask you first, Brett.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah. Especially with like, now that you brought up that point about it, they were still making 10K back then, with inflation now it is now, that'd be equal to 20 to 25. And I know for me, it's not like, and maybe I haven't really reached that point yet, but I'm not looking at shows so much for like, I'm going there to make money. You know what I mean? It's more, I'm going to obviously win and be competitive and, qualify for the Olympia. And so I think it's a different time. People aren't going to do strings of shows for the money. They might do it just because it goes well with their schedule, but I don't think the money is the driver anymore. I think it should be increased to maybe create that, if the people want to see the bodybuilders compete more, like with, Ian last year when he did like 3 shows or whatever, people love that, but that's only going to happen if the prize money increases.
For sure. And with Ian, that's a perfect example because he's going to do Vancouver this year. If he qualifies, he said, I might do another show. I might do Texas.
Yeah. Like
I guarantee if it was 25K, he would go and do it,
Yeah, exactly. He's just kind of on the fence about it because, then you end up spending, 3 to get there and get settled and stay and everything. You end up only making, 6, 7 when it's all said and done, by pushing your body to the limit again. So is it even worth it if you're already qualified, So that's always on the mind as well.
Yeah, for sure. Nathan, how much of a part does it play in terms of like maybe picking to do a show or not doing to show the prize money?
To me, the money doesn't even count, bro. It's chump change, isn't it? It's like the amount of money it costs you to get to the first show, the time you put the supplements in, your food, paying your coach or whatever you're doing, you spent at least 15 yourself anyway. Now, for me, I ain't done the shows back to back because they were there, If they win week after week, once I've qualified, that's it, And for me, it's harsh on the fans because the fans want to see us guys compete. But at the end of the day, no one's going to compete for 10 grand, for 10,000, plus you're getting taxed on that as well, which a lot of people don't think of that, you get taxed on that. Your money doesn't come for at least, a month, 7 weeks sometimes. So you're forking out of your own pocket. And it's me on us as a pro athlete, but you're not getting pro pay, That's why you see us guys working harder for our sponsors, because that's where a lot of the guys' paychecks are, is in the sponsorship, And for me, that's why you see a lot of guys putting the eggs into one basket, going to the Arnold, because if you get top 4 at the Arnold, you're earning more money than you will do at 2 or 3 shows anyway. Do you know what I mean? So what's the point going to the other shows? What's the point doing all these things?
Good. I mean, an example of that is I got 6th, right? And like I was disappointed, and I found out I won 12,500. You get you win more in 6th place than you do winning a pro show somewhere. Like a regular pro show. So it's like, well, that was like better than a win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then go on, bro.
Do you have any promoters ever like pay your way or pay for hotels and stuff these days? Because apparently back in the day they used to get that a lot as well. Main draw cards for each show would get hotels and flights paid.
England is a fucking load of shit. The federation over here, bro, and I put it out there. Me and the people who own it clash heads because you can't even don't even earn no money doing a guest pose. You have to shake hands and all this shit. But my black ass don't do that. Fuck that. I ain't sucking no one's dick. You know what I mean? It's if you want my face and my body to go on your stage, you pay my black ass, and that's it. This is all I have, And if you want to flaunt it, you pay me. And over here, the guys, we get, James said it ourselves, on a podcast with Dennis. We're very restricted over here what we can do. And it's, you can't earn money. At the end of the day, we're athletes. We should be allowed to earn money. And I think the promoters aren't paying us that. And the promoters' excuses, well, we can't get more ass in seats. Okay, right? We have Brett over there. And the American guys, they ain't coming to the UK to earn a £10,000 check for the cost of the flights. If you say to Brett, listen, come to the UK, yeah, come to the UK, even more, come to the UK, and the show's 50,000. I'm telling you, you'll fill an arena, massive arena, to get these guys over there. 1, because the English guys want to beat them anyway. Yeah. 2, because the crowd they pull it's a different type of crowd that I'll pull in the UK. And if you get them ass on seats, you'll make that money back tenfold, you know. And you can tell the guys, look, come over here, sell your merchandise, do this, do that. It's more money. So if you offer more money, the whole way around, everyone's making more money themselves. But the promoters a lot of times want to keep it in the pocket, you know, and that's why you see a lot of these, some promoters putting shows on with 25,000, and you got to respect that because they're trying to, you know, bend over backwards. You know, like the show, I don't know, Yamamoto show in Italy, I think that was like 30,000. That was more than my Arnold show. What I won at the Arnold, you know what I mean?
Wow, yeah. That's crazy. Martin, how much, like, obviously you're early in your career, so probably a lot of it for you is, you know what I mean, wanting to compete and wanting to improve and all that sort of stuff, and then eventually obviously qualify for the Olympia. But does the prize money play any factor in your mind when you're competing now, or is it more just about the journey and making money outside of the actual stage?
I mean, obviously, like, you got to think about the check at the end of the day. Like, if you're thinking about winning, you're also thinking about putting 10 grand in the bank. But I mean, just like Nathan said, man, at the end of the day in this, like, I know that I already spent that 10 grand. Like, if I get it, I'm just replenishing the shit that I already spent at the end of the day to make it happen. So, I mean, I'm not really looking at the money. I'm looking at trying to make myself famous. I'm looking at trying to build a fan base that buys my t-shirts, that buys supplements and uses my code, does all those things. Cause really that's where the money is for me at the end of the day is my fan base. You know, if I have 100,000 people that love me and buy a t-shirt every time I drop a t-shirt, and I sell 10,000 t-shirts at $20 a piece, that's where I make my money. Sure. But at the end of the day, looking at the Arnold UK, that was a reason why I thought it would be worth it for me to possibly travel over there. You know, I think that I do have a chance to place in the top 5 over there. And in doing so, you know, I'll be able to make my money back that makes it worth it for me to travel over there. And also, like Nathan said, expand my fan base. You know, I'm already have a decent fan base over there because of GASP. It's already a little bit of a presence. So I want to get over there. I want to shake hands. I want the UK people to know who I am as a bodybuilder. And then hopefully I go show out over there and it increases my fan base all over Europe. And the money then is a factor because, you know, winning over there is now 50K for the Arnold UK, which is, you know, that is a check worth chasing after. Yeah. But
is it 50K,
still,
yeah?
What's that?
Is it 50K?
Yeah, they bumped it to 50, bro.
Fuck, I should put my name down.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I mean, you know, it's like that's, and I want to battle with Hollingshead. I think that is a really good bodybuilder that I want to stand next to. And me being a 25-year-old bodybuilder that doesn't have my name in a lot of guys' mouths yet, this is a chance for me to go hopefully make a monster statement, right? So those are the kind of factors that are really going into my show decisions. But I wouldn't say that money's not being looked at and saying like, well, you know, it'd be nice to have that check at the end of the day to replenish the bank account from all the shit that I spent on prep or the travel that you do. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do Texas, right? I don't have to go anywhere. I get to sleep in my bed, wake up, drive to the venue in the morning, do my thing, drive back home, eat at my own house. I don't have to spend any money. So it's really no skin off my back to do Texas, right? So that's why I chose that. And if I win 10K, it's not like Brett was saying, it's not like 3 grand of that goes to travel and hotel expenses and all of that stuff. So then it makes it a little bit more worth it too. But really, to me, I'm just trying to get to Olympia, man. I'm just trying to be the best bodybuilder I could possibly be right now.
For sure. So your comp plans for this year is the Texas Pro, the Arnold UK. Is there any other shows you're thinking about hitting?
No, man. If you know, if things go the way I want them to, obviously I'll have an Olympia qualification. And in doing that, then it's just go show out and do the best I possibly can. Nobody murders it their first Olympia. So my goal is to go there and make a statement like Patrick Moore did, where people start to talk about me, start to know who I am, and start to think about, oh, I'm already in the next 5 years can be one of the guys that is somebody that's going to fight for a title. We know, you can't rush anything in this sport, and I'm 25 years old, man. So I'm just trying to work my way up the ranks.
Sure. Brett, obviously you mentioned about wanting to compete again in 2022. Do you have any, like, obviously I've seen on the schedule and there's a whole rung of like shows over in Europe. I don't know if they're Olympia qualifiers or not. Do you know that?
I think all shows are Olympia qualifiers.
I mean, for 2022.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that, I mean, just in all reality, it would probably be one of the ones that's after the cutoff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's probably better though, Brett, right?
Right, because then if you do it, you know, if you take care of business, then you have all next year to decide
Oh,
what you
yeah.
want to do. No pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm there's a list there, you know, there's a few in November. And so that's, you know, I want to make some improvements here. I want to, you know, continue to get a little bit bigger here. We're in a really good spot. And then, you know, start a diet of a full, you know, like 14 weeks out and then just come in with crazy conditioning. So it's setting up the right, but that would be the time frame. It'd probably be after the cutoff for this year. And I'm cool with that.
And Nathan, I had actually a listener ask, I'll try to find out who it was a little bit later. They asked, are you going to do the Olympia this year at like 100% for sure? Or are you looking at any other shows?
No, 100%. Just go the O, you know.
Awesome.
I've only got a few more in the tank for myself to do. Probably this one and two more maybe. And then I'm done. So yeah, I'll be there 100%, you know, and give it a go. I believe now for any Olympian, bro, the time now to strike. It's the time to strike is now, you know, because no disrespect, no, the guys, the guys are deep, but everyone's being beat there, you know, no matter who, you know, everyone's being beat on that stage. There's no relief no more. No one's undeniable. So the time to strike now. Obviously, people think there's certain golden boys out there, but people can be beat, you know. And if you can bring the lines, then obviously, you know, it's game over. So for me, the time is now, and hopefully I can bring the best package I can bring. You know, the recovery's gone good. I'm almost the heaviest I've ever been right now. So things are taking over.
Man, it seems like it's like the closest it's ever been from, you know, pretty much first in the Olympia down to whatever place, you know what I mean? Like, and especially that probably the fourth onward, it seems like it's really, really close in pro bodybuilding. Like, it seems like there's a lot more places changing and all that sort of stuff in small shows and bigger shows. So it seems like the Olympia is more wide open than it used to be, because I remember back in the day when I first started following, it was like Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, you know, they're going to be 1-2 basically. Yeah. And there's not that, you know, you don't know. Obviously, you got Big Ramy and Brandon Curry that have been 1-2 for the last couple of years, but it doesn't feel like, you know they're locked in there. You know, it seems very like everyone's sort of honorable. So is that sort of more of a motivating factor for you, Nathan? Like seeing that and being like, shit, I can push my name up higher than I've been in the past, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, the only person I haven't beat up there, right, is what? Is who haven't been against. The only person I've been against is I'll beat Ramy, is William. You know, obviously I've been against Nick or Hunter, but everyone up there I've slayed anyway, you know, and sometimes when even at my best. So, you know, everyone's got a chance, bro. You know, when you go to the Olympia, there's 20 people in there. And let's be honest, about 8 of them bring it, 7 of them bring it. Everyone always fucks up, you know, nerves get to them, or the coach overthinks things and they fuck up. Not all 20 guys bring it. So, you know, and for me, most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time I bring it. So it's doable. I think, you know, it's doable. I think any of the guys from 7th, the last Olympia down is irreversible. You know, the guys from 7th can be 2nd. You know, people might think it's a far shot, but it's not. The improvements I've seen all other guys make this year is massive. You know, look at Brett himself from what he's done in the year. A lot of the guys do that now, so it is doable. You know, you see a lot of posts in regards to, you know, to Hadi, what's happened to himself. You see Williams done that huge bounce back. You know, Ramy's gone under the radar. People saying things. So a lot of it's you know, reversible, and it is doable. People are going to comment saying it's not. You know, obviously everyone's the fan favorite, but looking at it from an open perspective, bro, it's wide open.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's exciting as well for obviously guys coming up, like obviously Martin and Brett still improving. And then obviously you're still improving, Nathan, but you're obviously, you know, like you said, you might only have 2 more years. So you probably guys look at it from a different perspective, but it's cool that it's open for all you guys to push up higher and get some impressive placings if you nail it 100%. And it's like the same way the other way as well. If you guys miss it, by a bit, you can
Yeah,
slip a fair way as well. So. But
Yeah, I mean,
Nathan's getting me amped up over here, bro. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah.
no, I'm excited. Yeah, no, I'm excited to see Nathan too, for sure. It's been, you get after it now and going in. Like you said, what was your best Olympia, Nathan? 6th or 7th?
7th. I should have got 5th, but I got 7th. For me that was good. I believe the Olympia when I was with Matt was probably the sharpest I've been. I believe I got overlooked there myself. That one I should have got 5th, but I got 8th. But you take it on the chin, you smile, you get on, you know yourself, bro. You smile, you get on with it, and you're not going to cry over it. But I think that year I got 8th. If I would have bought the same look about with Matt, even last year, that look would have got 3rd. Simple, the condition, the fullness I had. Obviously now I'm slightly fucking bigger. Things have changed, but but obviously the rankings changed, bro. So for me, I just got to look at it. You have two physiques. You have the guys who are big and massive, and you have the guys like me and yourself, aesthetically pleasing. Even Martin. We all have the similar physique. What can be compared against someone? We're not them freaky ass fucking mass monsters. For me, that's not the look I go for. I don't like that. I play to my strengths. My strengths are, my aesthetics. I'm never the biggest person, but if I get compared to Brandon, then I have a chance. If you get, even yourself, even at the Arnold, you got compared to like Nick and stuff. If you get compared to the guys who look like you have a better chance. Put me next to Rami, you look like a fucking child. You know what I mean?
For sure, man.
No, I was just telling people the other day, man. I mean, because I'm not as excited about the Olympia for my own self like you. I got to get a qualification first, but I was telling people like bodybuilding is as exciting as it was in like 1997. Like no one knew who was going to win the title when Dorian left. Like it was like, oh, Flex Wheeler, but then like 9th place Ronnie won the Olympia. Like that's kind of where we are right now. Like everyone is unbelievably good right now. Like we have a crop of athletes that have come up that's like bodybuilding is about to be the best it's ever been, in my opinion. Like the guys that are here are freaking awesome bodybuilders, and we all have cool personalities now. We're all start building rivalries and stuff. Like it doesn't
young
need to
as
be.
Well, that's it. Everyone's young, right? So everyone's got a lot of time in them. And what I think, I don't know if you guys think of the same. I think this whole stint of being undeniable, to where the Mr. Olympia gets 5 and 6s, that's over, bro. That is, they know from a business perspective, it's not fucking good no more. People get bored. The ass in the seats no more. So for them to spice it up a lot, like they have been doing, and judging it, you win. Fuck all this. You must be undeniable. Listen, if you win, you win, and that's it. And you guys seen in the results last year to where Brandon was probably winning on the Friday, right? And then Rami won him on a Saturday, and then Rami got the fucking nod. So it's, for me, even watching at home, it's good. I'm excited. Like Martin said, I'm excited, and things are going to change. I think this year a lot of guys are going to be, shocked on the results and what's going to happen.
Sure.
I'd be very, very, very surprised if Rami wins this year. I would be very surprised.
Yeah,
I'll bet money right now he doesn't.
Yeah. He'll have to be on, because obviously, what he did by not showing up at Jim Mannion's guest posing is almost like the biggest no-no in bodybuilding. And it sounds weird as well, because I heard all this stuff like he doesn't have access to a phone, and I'm like, what? Unless you're in jail or something, how don't you have access to your own phone? So it was
even in jail, you can get a phone, right? Make a phone call.
Or someone can make a call or something. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of way you can get in contact. So it sounded extremely strange, that whole thing. I don't even know exactly what happened. I had a bunch of people message me.
No one did.
Yeah, people message me different stories, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to believe, because I'm getting, everyone has a reliable source, and then it's 2 different stories. So I didn't know what was actually going on there. But you mentioned, Nathan, how the days of guys winning like 5, 6 Olympias in a row is sort of over now. But I actually heard Kevin Levrone was on Dennis James's podcast just recently, and he said, Joe said, something about not letting him win or something like that. He said, oh, you could win, but he's like, oh, I'm not going to make any more money. And then he said something along the lines of, but if Dorian wins, sort of so many titles, he gets a whole, he said, basically, I get a whole new range of fans to the sport.
Well, he was saying that he has a bigger demographic with having Dorian win because that covers the UK fan base and growing it over there. You know that.
But now we have Instagram, right? Now we have demographics.
Yeah, it's different now for sure.
YouTube,
I was going to say with social media, it totally changes it because back then you needed the magazines to cover Dorian and to talk about this UK guy that was hiding away and get people excited about UK bodybuilding in general. Now, I mean, we got Nathan, we have Hollingshead. It's not like we're forgetting about bodybuilding in some country. Every country knows about bodybuilding. We need a champion that's exciting. We need rivalries that are exciting. We need guys that are coming in and saying, like, I'm going to win the title and I'm going to do it this year because I can, even though I got 5th last year. I know I made the improvement to go win. That's to me, that's more exciting, at least. Like, I don't want to see a guy win his 4th title because he was just that much better than the guy that got 2nd place, but the guy that got 2nd place moved up from 7th place. In my opinion, like, maybe that guy should win the title. That's more exciting.
Yeah. And it seemed like corruption was almost more accepted back then and less whistleblowers, because obviously now it's social media. I don't know if you guys saw what went on with that horse MD guy from Brazil about the whole needing to grow taller and all that sort of stuff and weighing more and all that. But you know, there's people with, you know, video phones now and all that sort of stuff, and it just seems like it's much harder to get away with any of that sort of stuff. So there's more people, I suppose, onto it. And corruption, like I said, was almost accepted back in the days of like Joe Weider, because he was creating bodybuilding and creating an image for it, and he really wanted Arnold to be winning, and because he was sort of the poster child, which sort of worked in the end. So it's almost like the corruption sort of worked, I guess you'd say. I don't know.
Still business, like you said, but also like, how much could it, I'm sure Joe Weider said that. I'm sure Kevin wasn't lying about it, but how much would it have been? Maybe he just said that to calm Kevin down. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
what I was thinking too.
You know, like a personal conversation, like, hey, you know, we're doing this, just, we're giving it to him, you know, please don't be mad. Keep coming back. And, you know, it's like, obviously that could be there, but we don't know that 100%. So you can't like dive completely into that and base everything off of that conversation, you know, but obviously to some point it still is a business and you need to grow it. Now, like you said, it's not as important with, so, you know, with social media now, like, I feel like, you know, I'm down the street from Nathan, you know what I mean? With the access and everything like that. So it's totally a different time. And I don't think you'll see that as much, obviously, anymore.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's why we've seen, I suppose, the title change a little bit more. You know, we obviously had Dexter Jackson just winning one Olympia, and he came back the next year really good. Obviously, Jay was just off the chain and looked ridiculous. But yeah, you've obviously seen the title change around more. Obviously, Sean Roden, but that was a little bit of a different situation why he couldn't come back. And then, you know, Brandon Curry has one Olympia title. So there's been a lot more winners, I suppose, lately than you'd say, like over the whole Lee Haney and then Ronnie Coleman era. And then obviously Dorian Yates. You've got 3 Mr. Olympias and you got 8 years, 6 years, and then 8 years again. So you had 3 winners over like 20 something years in the sport. So I think it's more exciting, the fact that it feels like more guys can win it now, each Olympia. But when you do have a guy that obviously wins a string of Olympias, it becomes more exciting when he could possibly get beaten, I think, because everyone wants to see everyone wants to see the champ fall at the end of the day in bodybuilding for some reason. So, but
but a lot of the guys fought, but you know, I think with regards to Olympia, you know, wouldn't you rather see the guys fought at a local show as well? Like we had I had a discussion in the gym the other day. Even though the guys at the top guys not competing enough anyway. Imagine like you had the tour, you know, when like Ronnie went on the tour and stuff. You don't do that no more. So, you know, and you see even back then, you're seeing a lot of guys reversing from show to show, and they were going from like seconds at the Olympia to 4th in you know, where it was a European show. And that's what Martin was saying. Like now everything's so reversible, and things are just happening massively. I think the whole IFBB is having a huge shift, but no one's really seen it unless you're in the sport. And I can see it, you know, because a lot of guys you think, you know, oh, he got a buy, and he got this because he's got that name. And now a lot of guys like myself just talk. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, because if I can see it and I can say it, then the fans are going to see it and they're going to say it. And then obviously it does, you know, even though Joe said we let him win it because it makes us more money. When the fans get behind you as an individual and they can see it, they can turn the sport upside down themselves, you know? Yeah,
for sure. No, I totally agree. But boys, we have to get a name sorted for this show. And I think it was Brett. Did you come up with Pump and Dump? Because I like that. That was funny.
Pump and Dump.
Pump and dump. That's really good.
Yeah. It's fitting as well because like a lot of the questions are going to lead to obviously like you know, it's going to be a combination of bodybuilding, you know, how many, you know, about your workout and all that sort of stuff. And there's going to be all the, like one of the questions, let me find it. It was, I'm interested to know who has the most body count or the highest body count and who has the best game. And then said, excited for this. So there's going to be those sorts of questions coming in as well. So pump and dump seems appropriate, but what else have you guys come up with? Because we've got someone here called Phil McCrack says name it bodybuilding and general shit. That's literally what it's about, but I don't know, it seems a little bit too obvious. Bodybuilding and general shit. Also shit in the title, YouTube won't like it. So what do you guys like?
When Brett came with pump and dump, bro, I just fucking give up. And I thought, mine's nowhere near as good as that. So I just fucking turned it in. That's what I was like too. I was like, I came up with a couple. I was like, but you know, when you think of a name and then you say it out loud and you're like, it just sounds corny, sounds shit. But Martin, what do you think?
We could do racks and stacks. We could do, I mean, I like pump and dump. I'm looking at like, I've got this thing pulled up right now. It's like bodybuilding group chat names. Like if you were like with your boys.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It always seems like so easy to name something like a company or anything.
This
and then
like
do it.
Donut. Like, those are silly like food names, but it's like,
yeah,
no pain, no gain, like that movie with The Rock and
oh yeah. That's good.
This one just says steroids.
We'll just call it steroids. I'm sure they'll go down well with the YouTube like censorship.
The gun show.
What's that?
The gun show. That could be pretty good.
That's not bad. I'm thinking what I can make into logos too. So as you guys say it, I'm like trying to think of how to make a logo that would be appropriate as well.
Well, we'll keep it blank for now, and we'll keep letting people put stuff in the comments.
We'll make it, and then, we'll see what people say in the comments, and then we'll basically just get on our WhatsApp chat and then make a final decision, and then we'll have the name for the start of the second episode. I reckon that's the way to do it.
It'll be one of those, once you see it, it's on.
Yeah. I do like pump and dump, though. I'd say that's probably winning, to be honest. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure.
But let's get into a few questions, guys, because we've actually got a fair few between Instagram and YouTube where I put it up. So I'll start from the top. And the first question is from Bodybuilding and BS, which is obviously Nick Trigilli. It says, is Brett compete?
You can go first.
This one is just for Brett. It says, is Brett competing again in 2022? So I've already sort of answered that. Do you have any shows that you're like specifically looking at? Like obviously the European ones, but is there anywhere you're like, yeah, I'm thinking that's the one, or possibly that's the one?
No, it'll all depend on, progression these next. I'll let Matt make the call here in about a month and see where we're at. And then whatever lines up for that. I think there's one in Romania. I think there's one in Spain. I looked at the schedule, but there's a few there in November that I'm eyeing for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Is Legion Sports Festival in October still at the end, or is it in November?
It's not November, but it might be October. It might be
like
October.
Last year was the last week of October. If you can still sneak into that, bro, do it. That show was fucking awesome. They did a great job.
I remember
the promoter really cared about the athletes. It's a good show.
I couldn't even remember seeing that on the list, but I'll have a look later on and figure out when that is. The next question is that one I asked before. It's from King. This guy's actually messaged me how to pronounce his name. I've got to say King Manalit. He says, I'm interested to know who has the most body count and who has the best game. Haha. Excited for this, Dave. So does anyone want to reveal that?
Nathan has the best body count game.
Yeah, I had a feeling Nathan.
Nathan has the prettiest teeth he wins.
Yeah.
I can't
talk to anybody.
I can't kiss and tell no more, bro. 10 days ended in my late 20s.
Yeah. I guaranteed Nathan would have the best game. Like he's just one of those guys that could just walk into like a club or something and just talk to absolutely anyone, guy or girl, wouldn't even matter.
Keep that I keep that talk with gym talk. I can't put it all on here on social media and YouTube.
Yeah. I guarantee as well, like Nathan, are you like a smack talker in the gym? Just like, take the piss a bit and talk crap and stuff?
We just talk shit, bro. That's it. Fucking you go there all the weekend, just talk shit. Obviously you get on your set and it's game time, but besides that, we just talk fucking total shit.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it in Australia and the UK, I don't know how much it is in the US, but like I suppose like we'd say like, you know, we take the piss on each other, which I don't know if like Americans know what that means, but basically like,
I totally get it.
yeah, you basically sort of like, you know, give each other shit basically. And it's like real common in Australia and the UK, it seems like, but maybe not as much in America. Is it real common over there in the UK?
Yeah, bro. In the UK, it's common. We just call it banter, but like you just take the piss out of each other. You know, depending on how dry your humor is, then if you're in our group, there's no limit really. You know, your missus in the firing line, so's your mum. Everyone's in the firing line, you know. But end of the day, everyone just knows it's just smack talk, and it's just boys being boys.
Yeah, no one takes it too serious. How
there's
like,
Brett, there's a podcast name right there. We can use banter, bodybuilding and banter.
There you go.
There we go.
See?
That's not bad. I like it. I do like it. Brett, and you and Martin obviously trained together for, I don't know how long you guys actually trained together for out there in Armburst Gym in Denver. You guys seem like everything that came out, I suppose, from you guys was like, you know, it looked like the old school style of training. Like I remember seeing photos of you guys where you just trained legs or something. And I don't know if you're in like a hallway or something and there's a mirror and you guys take a photo. I'm like, that just looks like old school bodybuilding, like camaraderie and all that sort of stuff. I was like, it's cool to see. Did you guys ever have sort of like jokes and stuff while you're training, or was it more like serious with you guys?
It wasn't so much shit talking, like, you know, it was more competitiveness, you know, but it was like a silent competitiveness. Like I'm like, all right, you go first this time. And then like, I go for like 2 more than he did, you know? But it was more like, it was honestly a lot more support, but it's like, we were doing a lot of fucking weight though, too, on everything. So it was like, you know, it was more just get locked in, get focused. You know, I'm here if you need me, you know, for the spot or whatever, but just fucking grind, you know. And that was also looking back at it, you know, it was early in our careers, you know, it was right before he was going pro. It was while I was trying to build up into the open shows. So it was like, there's no time to waste, you know, every session had a purpose for us at that time. It was like, we're going in there, we're going to fuck shit up until we can't walk out of the gym, and we're going to repeat this tomorrow. So it was just extreme focus for both of us, just in our points of our lives and that, you know, there. And I'm not saying it's like not like that anymore, but it was just like, now we're a little bit more established, you know, and it's slowing down a little bit more with muscle maturity and things. But then it was just, we got to get as good as we can, as fast as we can. So we're not fucking around. There's no, you know, obviously we enjoyed and had, you know, a little bit of fun. You know, we would talk a little bit, but it wasn't like, you know, I'm gonna bust your balls. It's, hey, just get in there and fucking do it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine that when I was younger, obviously into the gym and stuff, and you're training, you're trying to come up, you're just so focused and dedicated, and you're so it's a different vibe compared to when you've been training for, you know, 15 years or so or whatever. But you know,
before, you know, I think that's where the best lifting happens is, you know, before the sponsorships, before the bullshit, before this, you know what I mean? It's just, you're in the gym for the love of it, and you'll spend 4 hours in there and not give a fuck, you know? Now it's like, everything is like, you know, I got to go make a post and all that shit, you know, it's different, but that's a good time in your lives, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Now back to the question. Does anyone want to reveal an approximate body count?
No comment.
I've had two girlfriends in my life, and my wife was the second one. So that shows you that I wasn't, you know, that was the priority at the time.
Yeah, man. I don't have a high count anyway. So like I have mates that like they'll tell me stuff and I'm like one of my mates, he's probably like 200 or something. And I'm just like, man, I don't have time for that. Like, you'll be in long relationships too, and then the relationship will end and he's like, he's like just destroying it the last week or two. And I'm just like, wow, okay. But
land on the job.
Yeah, man. I can't even you know what? It's when you're in a relationship, it sounds like glamorous. And you're like, yeah, being single would be good. Just, you know, have some fun and stuff. And then you're single for a little bit and you go, oh, now I'm over it now. Just the fact that you just, whatever. So yeah, mine's like, yeah, you can count them on 2 hands, just, I think about that. But anyway, let's move on. Next question is also from Bodybuilding BS. Is Nathan making it to the Olympia this year? How's the bicep injury?
Yeah, man, making it to Olympia, as I've said before, and it's coming good. You can barely see it, you know. It's coming there, so it's not. It looks almost normal anyway, because my left bicep was always shorter than my right, because obviously I scarred it anyway. I haven't got full range of motion because my tendons fucked in the arm. So it looks, you know, looking back on pictures, it looks basically the same. So fingers crossed, man. It goes good.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't notice anything from the pictures, like any sort of difference. And you were pressing the 70s the other day as well, 70 kilo dumbbells, which is what, like
Yeah,
160 or something?
Yeah, I get about. I want to, you know, my physio said, I'm back to full strength, but psychologically, I got like not depressed about it or nothing. I'm not like nervous, but every time I train, I was like, look at my bicep and I tweak it, see if it still moves. But you know, she was telling me just go for it. So I think, you know, next week I'll go for the 80s again. Hopefully soon get back to the 90s shoulder pressing. But for right now, 70s fairly good for me. Mentally wise, for muscle building, obviously it's shit because it's light, you know. So I was gonna get back into the groove of things.
It's not light by most people's standards, but maybe by yours. Next question is, now there's a lot of questions about, obviously, you know, Nathan, you were with Hosstile, Brett, you were with Hosstile, I was with Hosstile as well. So there's been a lot of questions. You're the only one, Martin, you've been left out.
Yeah,
but not in the loop, bro.
Kind of. I was supposed to be the first athlete for Hosstile, but it never happened.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
There you go. It's like someone said, is this the anti-hostile podcast? It's not. It's literally purely coincidence. But obviously that's going to be something that swirls. But basically this question, this is from Nick Julie, says, is Nathan and Brett still friends with Fouad? And you don't even have to answer that if you don't want to, but I suppose just addressing the whole thing as a whole, because everyone's going to continue to ask it, because it is obviously a bunch of guys that used to be with Hosstile. Brett, do you want to go first and give your perspective, or, you know, no comment or whatever?
No, yeah, no, I obviously, he doesn't reach out to me or talk to me, you know, since, you know, we separated ways, and I explained my situation and how it was going to involve moving down here, you know, with my wife, having some business things in line here to come up. And, you know, he was supportive of that. So I'm not, you know, there's no bad blood. I'm maybe a little surprised we haven't like continued talking. So maybe that shows how much of a friendship it really was, you know, because like if it was true friendship, you'd still reach out and things like that. But, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, we're moving forward, and, you know, I've always said, wish you the best, and they're doing very well. And, you know, I plan on doing very, very well here ahead, and it is what it is now.
Sure. Nathan, do you want to touch on it at all?
Same with Brett, bro. For me, obviously I'm no longer a bro because we weren't allowed in the chat no more. Basically just stopped going on. You know, I don't think we clashed heads in any shape or form. I wanted to do something else. He wanted to do something else, going on in our own set of paths. Obviously he does what's best for the brand. I did what's best for Nathan. And like Brett said, you know, I thought we were cool. We were friends. Obviously he's not reached out, but, you know, I still support himself, his wife, and the brand, and the guys on there. You know, no hard feelings. I just get on there, do my shit, hopefully slay some motherfuckers on the stage, you know. That's just how we do. But good luck to them. And that's it, really, bro. It's like, in the day, it's business, and I'm not gonna get, you know, cry over it. It's one of the things. I wish them all the best.
Yeah, for sure. And when these things happen, man, like when I was with Hosstile in the first place, and then, you know, it was basically like, you know, he offered me to get out of a contract for a reason, and then I was like, yeah, like I'll take that, okay. And then it was just basically we went our separate ways, and there's no big issue or anything like that. But people just started talking online. They're like, why are you not with Hosstile anymore?
Yeah, they do, bro.
What's going on? And people tagged. What's that?
Well, people have to realize. Sorry. What people have to realize is like, it's always just a business. You know what I mean? Even like what they have right now, it's like there'll be more changes, and then like, you know, he sees it as a business, you know, 100%. And so you, as the athletes, we should as well, and always think that way. You know, I've learned that over the years. And, you know, a lot of people reached out after and said, like, you always got to remember that it's strictly a business and act accordingly on that. You know, at the end of the day, it's, you are here for yourself, your name, your own marketing. And so, you know, act accordingly that way. So that, you know, this isn't high school, you know, football group anymore. This is the real life. This is the bodybuilding business. So.
Yeah, exactly. And within that as well, there's obviously companies that are more like, you know, family oriented, and there's some that are more like business based, and there's some that are like super corporate, like Muscle Tech back in the day. So it's you know, every business operates completely differently. And, you know, like I've said to heaps of people, because I had people literally saying online, someone said, I think in tagged Fouad him, they said, oh, ask Xavier, because someone said, oh, is Xavier still with Hosstile? And someone said, ask Xavier, he has the story on what really went down or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? I haven't told anyone. So I don't know how they think they've got some story, like basically acting like maybe I messaged them or something like that. And, you know, like it came up and I was like, look, dude, I haven't said anything. And I was super complimentary of, you know, obviously Fouad, the podcast and all that sort of stuff. And I still listen. And you guys were obviously on that podcast and I seen how you guys were on there. You've got great personalities. And I'm like, look, these guys would be awesome to start a podcast with. And I didn't just reach out to you guys. I reached out to a bunch of guys and some people either didn't get back to me or weren't interested.
That's not fucking very nice, is it? You know what I mean? You should have put it out there then, Xavier. You just fucking reached out to us for fucking hell, buddy. You know what I mean? Fouad felt fucking special then. Fucking hell, mate.
No, you guys actually were like the first group of guys that I pretty much reached out to. So I was lucky. But, you know, I reached out to a whole bunch of people. So basically, you know, if I reach out to 12 people, I'm probably going to get 3 people that are going to be keen. You know what I mean? So I reached out to a bunch of people at once. And then ever since I put that post up, I had a bunch more of those people reaching out back to me being like, hey, like.
That's funny. Cool.
Yeah, we're doing this. I mean, we do this because we enjoy it, man. Like we enjoy the banter, like you said, with the, like, you know, being able to talk bodybuilding, just sit down and take a couple hours out of your day from doing fucking client check-ins and shit. And it's just good to do this, man. It's good to talk. You know, we're gonna have plenty of things that, you know, talk about, especially leading into the Olympia with Nathan this year and stuff. So it'll be good to see him proceeding. And, you know, I'm all about it. So this is gonna be fun.
And it brings your personalities out as well. You know, like Nathan, you've got
bro as well for a lot of guys, you know, because like Brett said, some of us are isolated, you know what I mean? It's a good outlet. Whether, you know, you might catch one of us guys one day being down, and, you know, they can express themselves on this platform. And if you can give someone that, you know, that in that little voice, it helps, bro. Because not every day we're going to be happy and cheery. You know, some days we're going to be down, and sometimes people have got no one to talk to. You know, whether it's one of us four, and you can just jump on here and just fucking let your shit out on a rant, and then be like, fucking hell, I needed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's why people will love this as well, because you guys have great personalities. You know what I mean? Like a lot of you guys aren't sort of afraid to, you don't just hold back and go, okay, what's politically correct? Let's say that answer. You know what I mean? You sort of will come out and say what you actually think, which I think is great. And it'll divide people. Some people will go, oh, you know, I don't like him because he's like this. And then other people will be like, I love him because he's super honest and he's open and he's, you know, I can sort of relate to him or whatever. So I think that's a big thing. Like I wanted to get you guys on because, you know, we see stuff from you guys on social media, but you don't see the full personality. And, you know, obviously Brett and Nathan, because I saw you guys obviously on podcasts before, I was like, you know, I'm drawn to you guys. You guys are, you know, charismatic, all that sort of stuff. And it makes for great, you know, viewing. So that's why I wanted to sort of start this. And also for myself, you know, like some podcasts that I listen to, I'm like, they actually, you know, bring me great enjoyment, you know, because like that's sort of my entertainment. So if we can do that for other people, and give people another sort of outlet, another thing to listen to or watch or whatever, and get through cardio and all that sort of stuff. Or if they're feeling like crap, they come on here and have a laugh or just, you know, get insight from, you know, some top IFBB Pro bodybuilders. That's pretty damn cool. Because back when I got into bodybuilding, literally like, it was like you'd read a magazine and hang on to every little word because the coverage was so little. And now it's like we're sort of almost saturated with it now, but it's cool that we get to put out these longer form podcasts. Because what I've pretty much done on my channel has been like 10, 12, 15-minute videos with the odd interview here and there. I've obviously interviewed all of you guys, but you know, I think people enjoy that sort of longer form stuff, even if it doesn't get as many clicks. But let's move on. Let's go to the next question. This is another one from Bodybuilding BS as well. I think it's the last one. It says, where does Martin see himself placing at the Olympia after he wins a show this year? So he's assuming you're going to win a show, Martin. So pressure's on.
I mean, that's the goal, man. You know, like I said, when I was talking about it, no one really does that great in their first Olympia. Let's be honest. You got to go there and make a statement. And if you can place in the top 10, like that's a home run. I would love to do that. But more than anything, getting there is the most important thing. And then after that is making a Patrick Moore statement is what I'm going to say with that. Patrick, his first Olympia out of the gate, I think more people talked about him than people talked about Brandon Curry winning, to be honest. Everybody was really excited about what he was going to do. Now, what he's done since then, it doesn't really matter, but that's the kind of statement I want to make at the Olympia. Someone where everyone talks about my posing routine. The young kids are posting me saying, that's what I want to look like. Those are more of the goals right now as far as the Olympia, is to build my presence. The placing your first Olympia is neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's more about making impact rather than placing higher.
Yeah, but top 10 would be the goal for me.
Yeah, for sure. Next question. What advice would you give those competing for the first time? Pretty broad question, but I'll go to you first, Nathan. What advice would you give someone competing for the first time?
I just enjoy it, you know. Says to a lot of guys, first time, do it for yourself. I've got one of my friends competing for the first time on the weekend, and he's a prime example, you know. He's a little bit stressed right now, but he's doing it because he wants to do it, not because people, you know, are telling him to do it. He might win, more than likely he won't. Hopefully he does, but you know, he's honest with himself. He's doing it because he wants to do it, and he's in, you know, it's a tough process, but he with himself is enjoying it, and that's all you can do, man. Just enjoy it, and just fucking make sure, you know, it's worthwhile. Those people who are around you supporting you, and just, you know, make the memories.
Yeah, for sure. Brett, what advice would you give to someone competing for the first time?
So you know, we get this question quite a bit, and I always say, like, just, you know, pretty much what he said in regards to just keep getting to slow it down. You know, learn as much as you can from that first show. Sorry, from that first show. You know, it's going to go so fast, you know, the adrenaline's pumping, you're on that stage, and like all of a sudden it's done. You know, it's all that 12 weeks of work is gone. Even to our shows now, it's like, holy shit, you know, a couple hours for what we just spent, you know, 90 days or plus getting ready for. So slow it down, you know, hang out, enjoy it, make some friendships back in the back, especially at that amateur level. You don't go into that first one on a war path. Like, I got to beat all these guys' asses. Just do the best you can. You know, if you're good enough, you're going to win anyway. And so just make some friendships and learn some things, you know, so you can apply, because obviously you're not going straight to Olympia from your first show. So it's trying to gather as much information, as much experience as you can early on. And then just each show you get better and better and better from there.
Martin, do you have any advice for anyone?
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I guess, like, being the younger kid is like, sit back and start. I mean, same thing as what Brett's saying, but sit back and like soak up, look at that overall winner, see what he's doing. You know, maybe ask him some questions, go to him with some educated questions on, you know, I want to do this and I want to be at your level someday. You know, don't ask silly questions like what a split is, but ask him questions like, hey man, you know, like, where do you think I can improve in my physique? Or do you think like I need more muscle maturity, or is my conditioning on point? Like, ask him some educated questions about bodybuilding. And, you know, most of the time you're going to get a great response, man. My first show, I was scared to death. I know I looked like an owl backstage with my eyes just as big as they could be, because I had no freaking clue what was going on. And one of the coolest things was one of the best coaches in Colorado. He grabbed me, he pulled me aside. He said, hey kid, I don't know who you are. I've never seen you before, but you look absolutely incredible, and you're going to do awesome today. And like, that completely took my nerves away, made it so I could sit down and actually like enjoy the moment backstage and soak it all in. So I would just say, try to do that, you know, try to find somebody that you can feel comfortable with. If you have a good coach, obviously that's going to help. My coach was online, so it was all over the phone. But just find good people to surround yourself with and really enjoy the process, because it's tough, and it's only going to get tougher as you try to push and become a better bodybuilder. So enjoy the first one.
Yeah. Next question. This is from Gerald Lewis Fitness. Says, what was the main driver for growth that Brett has had over the last few years? What did you change, if anything?
I mean, I think it just mine's more recent, so people, you know, can key in on that. It's just locking down, you know, like Martin was there. It's spending 2 years of fucking dedicating yourself to bodybuilding, and people can't even dedicate, you know, most people can't even dedicate 2 days to something like we do as bodybuilders. So it was, you know, I saw the end goal. The end goal is a long ways away, but if you're able to stay committed to something, you know, day in, day out, like we are, you know, good things are going to happen. So pair that with, you know, those 7 days, 6 meals, 7 day meals a day, with intense training, having a good training partner, getting after it, things are going to add up, you know. And then like, obviously genetics play a little bit of a key, that my body is able to, you know, grow that way and expand. Not everybody can, but people can make that improvements if they commit. You know, we've seen it, everybody on here, you know, everybody's seen it with their progress. It's just buying in completely and executing daily.
Yeah. Nathan, how much, like, because obviously like early when you start bodybuilding, like for me, like it was the easiest thing in the world to be super dedicated, super on point, all that sort of stuff. Like I would have my meals within, you know, I'd literally have a timer and it would go off and be like meal time, and I'd eat exactly then, you know. How much easier was it to, I suppose, stay dedicated back then, before kids, before family, before obviously you've been competing for a long time, so you're almost desensitized in a way? How much easier was it back then to stay dedicated compared to now? Or is it just a different sort of motivating factor like money or something more now?
I think it's different now, but I think back then it was harder for me actually, you know, because I had a girlfriend who wanted to party a lot. My friends wanted to party a lot. I was only young, you know. I think for me, the fact was my kids, you know, they kept me in the house. One time a lad, you know, I stopped going out, I stopped partying, stopped doing them fucking 4 or 5 day benders. So for me, back when I first started off, was harder. I honestly probably got by just through sheer genetics and work ethic. You know, obviously my food was shit. You know, I'm not gonna say it was good because I had never clue what I was doing. You know, I was eating fucking chicken from KFC, thinking it was chicken and a potato. I didn't know nothing.
They pre-start.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing, you know. But I think having a family unit around me, something to grasp onto and to hold onto and to, you know, to provide for, helped me lock in a hell of a lot more than what I did as, you know, in my heyday. So for me, I think later on is where I see my biggest growth, because back then, you know, I had a little squares here and there, but once I locked in, you know, seeing it myself from when I turned pro till my first pro show, it was, you know, it was like breath. You can see it's night and day, but there's only fucking 10 months, 11 months between it. One person thought I was a swimmer when I turned pro, and then obviously I got second to Rolly, so it was a night and day difference.
Yeah, for sure. What level did you get to with like living that sort of lifestyle, but more of a party sort of / bodybuilding lifestyle?
No, I turned pro myself. I turned pro, 142 amateur shows, and I'm still fucking, you know, being a bodybuilder Monday to Friday, and then being a fucking young adolescent fucking party addict after training on Saturday and coming in early hours Sunday morning in the same clothes I went out on Saturday night. So, you know, but even back then, you know, I got no hangovers. I could get on whatever I wanted, party whatever I wanted. Very easily influenced to go out back then, you know, with certain DJ was on, or this person's got a party, or this person's on disco, this girl's going. So it was easy, you know. But I won a lot of shows, like I said, mainly through genetics. I wouldn't recommend doing what I do. It probably took fucking 20s of my life, probably. But don't do what I done. But you know, I enjoyed it, and it made me realize what I have today. I'm a hell of a lot grateful for.
Yeah, and it's funny.
At what point did you go to Oxygen for your first stint?
12 months after the turn pro, my daughter was born in March. I fucked off to my daughter was born. I turned pro in October. My daughter was born in March. I fucked off to Oxygen in November, and then I came back in March for my daughter's birthday. So I missed my daughter's first Christmas and first New Year's Eve. So that was my driving force, you know. And for me,
I remember. So that's what I was saying. I remember those. I remember seeing, like, that's where I first saw you, was like a check-in there at Oxygen, and it was obviously a thing again for the Olympia, and like I think you were wearing like white underwear or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, Martin, but that was like I was just like, holy shit! Like that's when I saw like the true transformation, your first like real, you know, he's ready kind of look. And it was like the first you had at Oxygen and really put things together, probably with mainly more so probably with your diet. Like they gave you the food, you know, so you can clean. You were nutty. That was nutty.
Yeah, you can't out there, you can't drink. And people ask why I go out there, bro, because, you know, Matt will tell you himself, oh, sometimes I go missing on a weekend. I just go missing. Like, you know, someone will text me or something, and then, oh yeah, I'm cool. Go to a check-in on Sunday morning, or I woke up late, and really I'm just fucking not in, you know. So for me, out there, it cuts everything off. It cuts the whole drinking off. That's why a lot of my friends go to say, come to Abu Dhabi, come to Dubai, but I can drink there. All my friends are there. The whole of fucking England is there. So for me, being in Kuwait, it's just isolation, and it's just pure bodybuilding, you know. like you guys out there, you know, Martin, in Texas. It's just bodybuilding for me. It's in Q8 because even now, like, you know, I was so tempted to go to Glastonbury, a big massive event the other day, and fucking I was biting my nails, twisting my head because I couldn't go, because I said to myself, you know, being out for 12 weeks, I need to be a bodybuilder. You know, I need to get back into the strata thing. So going out there helps me a lot.
Okay, next question is from Jim Guy GLB. Says, favorite carb source in a growth phase? Do you guys use cereals, bagels, etc., as well as rice and potatoes, pasta, oats, etc.? So do you want to go first, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably all pretty same here. We're all pretty gifted in that regards. And in the growth phase, meaning in the off season, I'm sure is what he means, is like, you got to throw in those extra carbs. So, I mean, Martin knows this about me. I have to eat a lot of food. You know, I'm like probably 6,000 calories a day right now, if not more. And, you know, that includes cereals. I do orange juice with every meal. Like, it's like, you got to add in those extra fillers just to be able to maintain your weight or put food on. So you have your base, of course, you have your chicken, your rices, your beef and rice, your eggs, whatever, protein shakes, but then you got to fill it up with more stuff on top of that. And so, you know, we all, I know Nathan's got the same way. We all get away a little bit, probably more with eating more freely in the off season, meaning whatever the fuck we want, because we train so hard. Because we train hard and we're taking the drugs and everything. So that's part of what it is. But we also need to be 240 plus pound bodybuilders on stage, 240 to 260. So we have to be that 270, 280, 290 in the off season. And so the only way you're going to do that, you're not going to do that off of chicken and rice. No one can eat 10 meals of chicken and rice a day. I don't care what you say. So you got to throw in additives there.
Sure. Nathan, you seem to get away with like cheat meals and stuff during your prep. Like how many carbs and what do you eat, I suppose, during your off season or at the start of a prep?
Well, off season, I've stuck to probably bread for now of mass. I stick to granola. I eat granola, probably my easiest meal twice a day. A lot of fruits, but obviously, I get my 6 meals in a day, my intra workout, my post workout, and then obviously I get a fucking cheeky kebab or an Indian somewhere along the lines. But for carb sources, I can't really digest a lot of potato. I just fucking shit a lot. And it's fucking hummed the house down. So I just eat rice. It goes through me nice. It's easy. So for me, carb source right now, it's just rice and granola, but I'm just pounding it in. And obviously, burgers and biryanis and stuff, like Brett said, to put the food in, because right now I'm like, 131 kilo. And I'm fucking, I think, walking wise, probably doing like fucking 3,000 steps a day. At a push, my fat ass ain't going nowhere, but the food intake's around 6,500, 7,000 calories. And it's fucking, it's a nightmare. You guys know it's a pain in the ass getting it in, and you can't do it just freely. If I want to eat, I eat, and I just got to get anything in. Like now, it's time for me to go to bed in a minute, but it'll be, granola, protein, orange juice, some extra fruit in there, and then as I'm walking to bed, I'll take 2 scoops of Fatago and just put it in there and go to bed, and then wake up in the middle of the night and do a protein Fatago again. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass right now to get that weight up, but like Brett said, we've got to do what we've got to do.
Yeah, so that's for people who don't know as well. 131 kilos is 289 pounds. So man, like for an aesthetic guy, that's what you're more known as, rather than being just a full-on mass monster. That's a pretty damn impressive weight. And like I remember when you were going to actually come out to Australia, I think you were, but that whole obviously COVID bullshit happened.
Yeah.
You sent me some photos, man. You sent me what your weight was, and it was considerably higher. And I feel like we haven't even seen the full blown massive Nathan yet. Obviously we saw you last year. You looked pretty damn impressive winning that Arnold Classic UK, but I feel like there's that little bit more there as well that we haven't quite seen yet.
Yeah, I got a little bit more in the tank. Yeah, I'm not a dinosaur yet, mate. I got a little bit more in there. I'm not as young as you guys, but I've got a little in there.
Martin, what carbs do you eat in your off season?
Yeah, man. So I mean, obviously, like mine's even different than these guys. So I'm 25 years old. My metabolism is psycho. Brett got to see it time and time again when we lived in Denver. Like in the off season, I can do a cheat meal every single day on top of what I'm eating of 7, 8, 1,000 carbs a day. It just depends. But getting into that, you know, like I always did post-workout cereal. That was something that I got really, Brett and I kind of always did. That was kind of bigger for us. And this kind of my fan base knows me for is post-workout cereal. Also doing bagels, Rice Krispie treats. I've same thing as Brett, orange juice or apple juice with lots of meals. But I tried to get my base set at like, I would do at least 100 carbs from clean carb sources before even considering adding in like apple juice or something like that. So, you know, it's like chicken and rice, 8 ounces of chicken, 2 cups of rice, 2.5 cups of rice. You got 100 carbs from rice. Then maybe consider, you know, some apple juice or something after that to get an extra 50 carbs or something like that. And that's, I mean, realistically, my diet really consists of super, super high carbs. I don't do a lot of fats. This off season, I did a little bit more fats, and I think that helped just because I got my metabolism almost too fast with trying to do like 1,000 carb days and stuff like that, to the point at which I was just running through them. So, I mean, even dieting right now. So I told you guys I'm on a couple high days. So for the last 2 days, I've been doing 800 carbs. So my calories are like, I think it's about 5,600 right now. And that's I'm prepping 7 weeks out. And then we take my low days down to like 150, 100 carbs for like a day or two. I go super flat and then ramp it back up, you know? So in the off season, to put in perspective, you know, I'm in prep eating 800 carbs. In the off season, it's got to go higher than that. Also, fats have to go higher than what they are now. So I have to eat a ton of food. But like Nathan said, like, you just got to do it, man. Eat 5, 6 clean meals, go out to get Mexican food or go out to, like, I mean, realistically, if you're at this level and you're having to eat that much to grow, you're probably burning enough calories and shuttling these carbs and calories to where they need to be that you can get away with a lot. Now, you younger guys, just stick to a meal plan, man. Eat 8 ounces of chicken 5 times a day, eat a beef meal, and get 100 carbs in each meal. And if you can do that consistently for 2 years, half of you guys would put on 25, 30 pounds, just like Brett and I did in the beginning, man. You know, when I started bodybuilding, I weighed 192 pounds. I'll be on stage 240 something this year, you know? So I put 50 plus pounds on my body in 5 years. Like, that takes a lot of food, a lot of food.
For sure. Something I actually like discovered like about probably 6 months ago to a year ago. It was probably like the most muscular I've got, which obviously is nothing compared to any of you guys, but my metabolism is pretty insane. And I was eating something like, it was like, I'd have 110 grams of carbs for one meal. Next meal would be like 120. Then my pre-workout meal would be like 130. And I actually feel the sensation of it just flushing out of my system. Like I would get a pump, but it would leave really, really quick. And the pump would be really extreme, but it would just empty really quick. And I'm like, I felt like it was just because I wasn't maybe having enough fats and my metabolism just started going completely insane. I've got that typical like ectomorph sort of metabolism where you just eat it and you just burn straight through it. But it just went to, I think my metabolism just went to another level because I was trying to put on some size and my weight was almost staying the same. And I was just getting leaner. And it was just a very, very strange sensation. And all you guys tend to have like, or seem to have super fast metabolism. So I'm assuming you guys have sort of probably experienced the same thing with, you know, eating a huge amount of calories, but still not being completely full and filled to the brim sort of thing.
Yeah, actually.
And I think go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
I was gonna say that was more like that's when you start adding. That's when you start getting strategic with the fats.
Yeah.
So if you're always just doing protein and carbs, you're training very hard, your cardio is on point. Your metabolism is going to catch up and just burn through those things. So that's when you strategically need to start placing fats, you know, maybe away from your training or pre-workout. A lot of people like to do a pre-workout, so it slows down the burn throughout during the training session. So it's just, you know, that's the point of also having a coach that has that knowledge and is able to apply that to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can add to this just a little bit, just speaking on it, adding fat. So that was something when I came to Branch, as Brett knows, like I pretty much did like 0 fats pretty much. I did a red meat meal and I did 2 whole eggs pretty much like my whole bodybuilding career. I just never saw the need for lots of fats. I don't like lots of fats. It kind of bogs my digestion down. So I always kind of stayed away from them. But getting with Branch in this, he was like, he saw me do that for about 2 weeks, and he was like, we're going to add another red meat meal. You're going to eat more red meat in your first meal. And I'm going to add fats to your last meal, which is something I never did. And I do think that I put on some size because of it, just because, for one, I didn't have to push my carbs as high. And like you said, I don't think that I was running through the carbs as fast. And I do think that most of that was probably from the red meat. I think the triglycerides in the red meat really held on to my fullness a little better in my muscles and made it so that I could grow a little bit better. But I do think that that was an important factor that eventually you have to take into consideration. But I am somebody too, like Brett was saying, I keep my fats away from my workout completely. One, for supplementation, which I don't really want to get too much into, but you don't want to be shuttling fats. So that's not something that I'm really interested in. I don't want to do that. So I keep my fats away from my workout. But, I definitely had to develop that over time.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're not using those supplements, then maybe it's more likely that you could actually put the fats in there and feel a bit more comfortable about it and whatnot. Now, next question is from Fat Kid Turned Fit on Instagram. Says, how do you guys feel about the O staying in December, being so close to Christmas, etc.? How do you feel about it, Brett?
I mean, I kind of like it at the end of the year, just scheduling wise, because like everything's building up towards that. The main thing is it's more so it just needs to get back to being on a consistent plane. Back when it was always in September, we knew that and prepared for it that way and stuff. I kind of like the December date, but it needs to we need to know that it's going to be like that moving forward, and instead of just having a guessing game every year, October, September, December. So I actually don't mind it this year, and it kind of ends out the year pretty well because no one's doing shit during, the end of December. Sorry, my dog's jumping. End of December. Into December, January, February, those are the holidays. That's the downtime, January, February. So it's always good to have that final little say. And then no shows after that, for until the Arnold. And then everybody can just kind of back off. And I think it's good for health reasons too. People can truly just kind of get, completely off and just chill out.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it too, but it's almost like the season finale sort of thing. So it's like the big bang at the end of a whole contest season. The only thing I'll say about it is being a fan, someone who will travel to go to the Olympia, is just want to have an experience. Being in Vegas in December, it's nowhere near as warm as it is in September. Because I went in September when I went, and that was to me, I was sort of used to Perth weather, which is really hot. And, going there, if I went there and it was much, much cooler, I'd be like, it's not as much of a sort of a holiday, being in Vegas and actually being sort of cool weather. So for that reason, I sort of prefer it in the September sort of time of year. But I can understand why they would put it in December as well. And it's probably a lot cheaper as well, being right close to Christmas as well, venue hire and all that sort of stuff. But as a spectator, I definitely prefer to have the warmer weather when I'm going somewhere like Vegas, because if there's pool parties on and all that sort of stuff, I'm sure a lot of bodybuilders would go there for the holiday sort of experience as well as the Olympia as well. But what do you think, man?
So I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both of this, right? What Brett's saying is absolutely true. I mean, guys coming off in January, February, there's not a lot of shows then. I think that's wonderful. Also, being from America, one, we have Thanksgiving in November, which is a big family holiday. Which I don't think a lot of guys really want to diet through. And then you have Christmas right there, which spending a ton of money right before Christmas on competing and stuff like that kind of sucks, I mean, I would rather spend it on my family members, try to do gifts or travel to see family versus traveling to the Olympia, right? So speaking as a competitor there, and then also speaking as a spectator like you, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on a plane ticket to go to Vegas right before Christmas when I need to be buying my family gifts, right? Yeah. So I think as a business standpoint, I don't think it's a great place to put it. I think personally, October was the perfect spot. Yeah. So you're a little bit past September. You're starting to get into what Brett said, the holidays where nobody really does anything. They're kind of in their houses, hanging out, doing nothing. But then also you're done by the time Thanksgiving comes around, so you can do that with your family. You have a month or two to save up your money that you just spent on the Olympia so that you have money to buy people gifts for Christmas and stuff like that. obviously, like, I don't know if the Olympia is really thinking about those things of like people buying Christmas gifts and stuff, but it's just something to take into consideration. Like, when do people have money to spend on going to watch or to spectate? And then, like I said, as a competitor, not that Thanksgiving matters or anything like that, but like those are big family events in America that could be important to some competitors. And I think if you get it out of the way right before then, you're still in that kind of like people could do health phase over Christmas and still when they're spending time with family and eating a little bit. And then you kick shows right back off first of the year in January, where you have, you know, pretty much October's finished, then November, December is your downtime. In January, we're right back to kicking off shows and getting the season rolling again. But, you know, I don't really know. Like Brett said, the best thing is they just need to pick a time and stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously like everyone's giving them leeway as well, because obviously the whole COVID situation, everything was going on there. But I did hear that it might be back in Orlando or something as well next year. So I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, I'd like it to have some sort of I suppose for us to know where it's going to be sort of year to year. But Nathan, how do you feel about it being in December? Where would you put it, the Olympia, if in your ideal world?
This year for me it's good because it's on bicep, so it gives me a bit more time to catch up. But I think for me it's bullshit because I'm not American, you know. So for me to get to America, you know, and then home, you know, I do my prep in Kuwait anyway, so I'm missing the whole festive season with my family to prep for the Olympia, which is, you know, half of the mindset to where I was thinking should even do it because my kids are more important than Mr. Olympia. So I'm thinking, you know, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Because, you know, like Martin was saying, my friends ain't going to come this year. Last time I went there, we both do a shitload of us. Now, you know, people got families, mortgages to pay for. I'm a bodybuilding fan, but I ain't going to the Olympia in December to watch someone fucking pose on stage in a pair of trunks when, you know, I've got my kids to pay for. I've got bills there when everyone knows we're being hit hard with the whole pandemic bullshit. So people are living off credit cards as they speak anyway. So, you know, as a business wise, it's not sensible for me. I don't like it because, you know, as an athlete, so by the time I got home from the Olympia, after all the you know, all the shoots I have to do and stuff, it'll be 4 days from Christmas. 4 days. So them whole 4 days I've got to do all my shopping. It's not really, you know, pliable for me for anyone, you know, even in America, anyone just in December. And then I think then it takes time off the guys going to the Arnold because you're having to push supplements from 16 weeks out. Yeah, 8 to 18 weeks out. Some people pushing to December. You're gonna get 2 or 3 weeks off your shit, get your blood done. Ain't gonna be normal anyway to push it again for March. So, you know, if I went doing the Olympia, fuck, I wouldn't even do the Olympia because I know half the guys who are doing the Olympia ain't turning up at the Arnold, you know, or they're gonna be fucking dry out to fuck because too much, the drugs will be far too long. So there's a paycheck there for someone in March that's fucking easy to get. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would like it to be in October, stick there, but I'd also like it to travel the world. You know, if it can travel the US, why can't it fucking just travel the world, go everywhere? Because the biggest expo in the world is fucking FIBO, and it pisses on the Olympia. So, you know, and that's in Europe. So if it travels, then I can get more fans. Anyway, there more fans means more money means more paycheck, right?
Yeah, for sure. Hey Nathan, I remember last year you did you went to FIBO, and I remember you putting up a post. I don't know if it was on your story or where it was, basically saying you've been on your feet basically all day for like 2 days straight, eating only a couple of meals and stuff like that. And that was 1 week out from one show where you slipped behind a few guys as well. How much do you think actually, you know, because you looked great at that show anyway. I remember seeing the pre-contest video. I can't remember which show it was, but it was last year, and I think you did FIBO the week before, then you went and did a show the next week.
Oh no, it was the Dubai Muscle Show, right?
It was whichever one you slipped back a few places at, because you were beating these guys, you know, pretty much hands down, and then it was, you know, yeah. So, how much do you think contributed to actually being at FIBO the week prior? Do you think that actually hurt you in that next show, or do you think it was just?
Fuck, I hate to expose, bro. On a diet, if you're an athlete, I don't even think you should be able to attend. If you're at least 8 weeks out, you shouldn't, you know, you should have it in your contract. But obviously, I'm not that high end to say 8 weeks out I ain't going there. You know, I don't think none of those guys are. You know, I rep Brett's got probably a little bit of pull with Raw to say fuck that, but we ain't, you know what I mean? So if you a week out is a pain in the ass, you know, it's not pliable to sit there and you can catch, you know, if you go to an expo, you always come home sick because there's always some dirty cunt who go for this shit and not wash the hands and shake his hand, and then you're gonna go there by accident and just scratch your face, and you got some guy shit on your face or something. You know what I mean? People just aren't as clean and hygienic as you think. But you know, you get sick. Everyone knows you probably drop at least 8 pounds on an expo because you can't eat. When you do eat, you got people watching you, waiting to shake your hand. It's hard. It's hard to do anything. You know what I mean? So for me, I like them as an athlete to go to them because I reckon they're cool. But if you're on a diet, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and you might get some other dude shit on your face too. So definitely avoid it.
I got shit on my show.
I'll just ask a couple more questions and we'll wrap this thing up because we've been going for a while now. This is from MG Damon 1. Says ideal. You guys can answer this or not answer it. Ideal spots to pin and size needles you guys use. Does anyone want to answer that? Everyone. Martin, you can go first.
I'll go very broad with this. I don't pin my legs at all. So 2 reasons for that. One is detail. 2 is there's a lot of nerves in there and I don't want to deal with it. So I mostly do delts and lats. And I use 23 gauge needles, I guess. So pretty standard.
What about you, Nathan?
Bro, it was a fucking muscle and put it in it. I don't give a fuck.
Is anywhere's good?
Just fucking put it in. You know, when you're younger, you just put it anywhere, right? You'd experiment, you just fucking put it in. You're just not answer, it's a trap. Just put it in, bro. I've got some mad stories. Even one time I was in maths, fucking went all spasmy, thought I fucking lost my shoulder. But you know, I just put it in. I ain't too fussed. They'll all go to the same place, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually I remember once a friend of mine, I said I wanted to shoot my biceps just to see what it was like and train after it or whatever. And then he said, just flex it to the peak and then just straighten your arm and then just shoot it in there. I was like, sweet. Did that on both of them. And it was only test prop or whatever you call it, wherever. And this is because down in Tasmania where I live now, there's tons of like livestock. So you can get bladders that are like 500 mil and then you'd split them up with your mates and they're like $1,000 a bladder, but it's like, you know, you get half a liter. And did my biceps, went to bed, woke up in the middle of the night and my arms were just all swollen up, like down past my elbows. And I was just like, fuck. And I was sweating and it was just like, my body just hated it. I couldn't train upper body for like a week. I was like, that was fucking terrible. But I
did biceps like that, like the first couple times I pinned and I was working in the oil field and my arms were bright red. They were so sore, I couldn't move them. I was like, never again.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm never fucking touching my arms. Brett, what about you?
I was gonna say, I think it kind of matters on where you're at with your like in career or like how long you've been pinning as well. So like if you don't have enough muscle in some areas, don't try it. So like now I love that, you know, I think lats are the best spot. But early in your career, we didn't have big enough lats to actually inject, you know? So it's kind of, you obviously got to start with probably your shoulders, your glutes, whatever. I've never done arms or quads. I always tell people to stay away from quads because the most horror stories I've heard are from quads, you know, and just nasty infections. You see them all the time. People post them, you know, turning like, I watched a video of a guy draining his quad one time and it ended up being, I think Martin, I think you remember this story. It was in Denver. It was like 30 cc's of pus that came out of his quad. And it was just like, ever since I like saw that or heard that, I'm just like, I'm never even going to think about that. So it's kind of just, you know, it matters on how much you're doing too. You obviously got to rotate a lot. And then once you can feel scar tissue. So, you know, when you need to stay away. So, you know, find out what works for you and make sure you're rotating, you know?
Yeah. I actually had a mate, but because he was shooting his delts and glutes and whatnot. And he had like a lump on his shoulder and was there for like about 1.5, 2 years or something. He goes, man, I think it's a tumor. And I said, it's not a tumor. It's like right where you pin on your shoulder. And he's like, nah, there's something wrong there. I was like, just let me stick a needle in there and just see if I could draw anything out. I stuck a needle in there. I pulled out about 2 to 3 cc. I think about 3 cc of just like, it was pretty much almost pure oil. And there's like a little bit of blood in it. And I was like, what? He was like, holy crap. And then the lump was gone. I was just like, see, I told you. I was sitting there for like almost 2 years.
Did you smell it?
I didn't smell it. No, I didn't even want to. Like,
yeah, I was wondering if you just caught a whiff of it, dude. I saw someone else like that. They had a lump on their shoulder, and we did that, and it was like 3.5 cc's, and like it opened at the end, and like he opened to dump it, and it was like the worst smell I've ever. It was disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember the smell. I can't remember the smell. I don't think, but yeah, it was quite.
Oh, you would have.
yeah. If I had smelt it, I'd know. Yeah, that's funny. I'll ask another question. Someone did ask a question. They just basically said, how did the podcast come about and all that sort of stuff? Is it going to be weekly? So just for people that know, it is going to be weekly. Basically, I messaged you guys and basically said, look, here's my idea for a podcast. If you guys want to do it, and Brett, you were first one, but responded back and was keen. So I was like, sweet. So I used you as a bit of leverage. I said, Brett's keen. Do you want to jump on a podcast with Brett? And then so on. It pretty much went from there. And basically what we're going to do is, like, I think for your guys' YouTube channels, I'm going to clip some of this up and put this on your YouTube channel. So people, if they just want to catch some small parts of the podcast, if they don't have the time, just watch 2 hours or whatever we've been on here for, they can just check out the shorter sort of highlight clips on your guys' channels. And hopefully we grow this thing into something pretty big that, gets a bit of a following, because I think that'd be awesome for, obviously all of us, you know what I mean? Like growing your guys' YouTubes, and I'll put all your guys' YouTubes and social medias and all that sort of stuff in the description below, so people can check you guys out and, really follow along your career, not just, not just seeing what goes on stage. And hopefully we can, turn this into some sort of a big thing. But next question, we'll make this the last question of the podcast as well. Matt Spriggs says, interested to know if any of the casts have any experience with Metformin and their thoughts. So Nathan, have you ever taken Metformin?
Tried it, yeah.
What do you think of it?
I tried it. I thought it was shit.
Oh, really?
I didn't got nothing from it. They got the guy who made it originally, got just a show, sent me some. It's free, so fuck it, tried it. I put it in, got done like 4 bottles of it. I didn't get the best thing of it. It didn't pain me. I seen a tiny bit of growth out of it. It didn't misshape the muscle in any shape or form. I know a lot of guys fucking use it and they say you don't, but each to their own. I don't give a fuck. I just say I use it. I tried it. And then I put it in my Chinese man, in my black man's cough, my left cough for my show. Because we've got one fucking big cough, one small cough. So I put it in there. It worked a little bit, but it's not something I'd use all the time. Like I said, it gave me a little bit of it, but it's not something that's fucking I'd rely on.
Is Metformin because I thought Metformin.
I think he's talking about something different. That's not
Metformin.
It's like, what? You can't inject Metformin. Yeah,
I know. I thought you Metformin. Oh fuck!
Yeah, he's thinking Metformin.
Oh man.
Okay, I was like, Metformin is like an insulin mimicker. Like you, like
yeah. Cut that out. Chop that.
No, you're good. I like it. I was like, wow, they got some crazy Metformin over there.
Yeah, that's what I was being. I was like, well, I didn't even know.
I was going to go Metformin.
You just throw carbs into your calves, or what?
Yeah, it's like fuck that. What's it, Metformin? My bad.
Oh, it's funny as. But Metformin, have you ever used Metformin?
No, never tried it.
Okay, so I can talk on this a little bit. I don't know if you've used it, Brett, but
I did early in my career. Like, I mean, when I started growing, like 212, yeah.
Okay, so what I did with Metformin, so those of you that don't know what Metformin is essentially something to make you more insulin sensitive. It's a mimicker of teaching your pancreas how to essentially secrete insulin, as well as block some of the uptake of some of the carbs. So it can be beneficial to increase your insulin sensitivity. This is what they use in pre-diabetic patients. But the reason that I used it had nothing to do with that. It also has a pretty big effect on lipid modulation. So as a bodybuilder, you get into your blood work. A lot of times your blood work flips, right? Your cholesterol, your HDL, and your LDL, they flip. And you don't want that. You need to get them back to the right thing. So Metformin is actually really, really good at lipid modulation and getting your bad cholesterol to become good and vice versa. So that's what I used it for. I used it for 4 months in the off season here, just at night before bed. And it actually helped my lipids a lot. So before they were completely flipped, and my cholesterol was actually like, my total cholesterol was good, but they were completely flipped. By taking metformin for about 4 months, they completely swapped back to what it needed to be. And my blood work was absolutely perfect after being completely off of everything. So it was something that if you do have cholesterol issues and your cholesterol is really messed up, as well as increasing your insulin sensitivity, this is a good way to kind of fix both of those problems without really a lot of side effects. So metformin really has very minimal side effects. It can affect your digestion, but it doesn't happen very often. So it can be really beneficial. Like I said, it helped me a lot, and it fixed my blood work, which is really important as a bodybuilder.
Yeah, for sure. And I imagine you guys obviously having fast metabolisms as well. Generally, you guys are pretty insulin sensitive rather than being insulin resistant. But Brett, have you used it and found benefit or?
Yeah, no, I definitely thought it had, worked in some regards when I used it. Kind of, that was when really pushing food and like kind of hitting some walls there. So that helped, I would take it with meal one with like a huge meal to be able to, shuttle more and then be able to eat more throughout the day. I still put some of my clients on it, especially when they're getting into, food amounts that they've never been at before to help not just stall out or, kill their appetite. So I think it does have some benefit. I mean, you don't want to overdo it. It can, like Martin said, it can affect digestion after a while. So it's not like a long-term thing, but it definitely has its place in bodybuilding, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Now, before we wrap up this show, I want to ask, I don't really even want to ask a question here. I just want to show Nathan this because this comment was hilarious. I'll read it out to you guys from Pete Rodriguez on YouTube. He says, Nathan D, 2022, you have to come in at what you always wanted to look like. Not your best, but your head best. Nick W, Hunter, and Samson are all guys lack nothing. You must be big and conditioned, and you can do something we have not seen. 6 is not good enough. 2 and 3, yes. Bring it, brother. I just saw that, man, and it just made me crack up.
Who's that? Pete Rodriguez?
Yeah. What do you have to say, Pete?
Fucking Pete.
Cheers, big Pete.
Fuck you, Pete. I'm big and conditioned, he said.
So 6 at the Olympia is not good enough, but 2, second or third, that's all right.
Okay, that's all right. You're not going for first, just 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's light work.
Man, it cracks me up how some of the fans will say comments like that, and like I'm like, what's going through your head when you're actually writing that? Like, it's almost like you're trying to give you advice. No, not much.
Don't get Pete shit, bro. Don't get Pete shit. Respect,
Big Peter.
That's funny as. But anyway, boys, thank you so much for doing this. Guys, let us know how people can find you on social media and all that sort of stuff. So Nathan, how do people get in contact with you? What's your YouTube? All that sort of good stuff.
YouTube's Nathan De Asha. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And obviously Insta like that one. And then obviously my Instagram is just the normal tag, Nathan De Asha 2. Hit me up there. Obviously, you guys know I reply. Obviously, you give me shit, you get shit back. It is what it is,
Yeah. And you've also got on your channel as well. I remember seeing you doing a 20K calorie challenge, man. And that, honestly, watching that stresses me out because you're just sitting.
My house stunk as shit, bro. My house stunk. Rolly just stunk my house out. It fucking stunk of proper shit for about 2 days.
Man, Rolly was funny as well. He's just sitting there. He's just like, eating. He just seemed like he was just like, Jesus, it was hard. But yeah,
no emotion.
Yeah. Brett, how do people find you?
You can follow me on Brett_Wilkin on Instagram. Running the YouTube. So started YouTube back up today. Actually just filmed before this. I'm gonna be doing 2 videos a week. So that's really gonna get going. That's what I'm excited about down here. So that's Brett the Butcher Wilkin on YouTube. And also make sure you guys are commenting on if we want pump and dump or bodybuilding and banter. So we got to get something going here, or throw in some other suggestions on the name, and we'll keep rolling on that.
Yeah, for sure. Here's Nathan's Instagram as well. It's just Nathan De Asha 2. There's Brett's, Brett_Wilkin. And Martin, how do people find you? Here's your Instagram, obviously.
Yeah, so same thing. It's Mart Fitz, H2O, little play on my last name, Fitzwater. Since I know people are gonna ask, it's the H2O, like chemistry, water. But yeah, then my my YouTube is Martin the Martian, and really, I mean, same thing as Nathan, man. Message me. I'm always down to message you guys back. I'm gonna give you shit if you're gonna give me shit. But just really, guys, we appreciate you guys following along and getting involved with this. So, you know, like they said, comment below. Tell us what you guys want to hear about, what else you guys want to hear us do as far as where we want to take this podcast. And then really, we got to get a name, guys. So make sure that that happens.
Yeah, for sure. And you're dating Ariel Kadar, man. I had no idea until just the other day. This is obviously your partner here. When did that come about?
I started dating Ariel not too long after the Arnold. So we met out at the Arnold and we started spending some time together and stuff. And it's just been kind of like that ever since she came to Texas and spent a couple months. And now we've been hanging out every day since. So.
Man, how much more of a motivator is that to get to the Olympia as well? Because obviously she's contending for the Olympia in the fitness this year. She won the Arnold. So how much of a motivator is that? Like a little bit extra?
Yeah, man. It's definitely a motivator, but it's also like really cool because she's so supportive and she understands like everything that goes into this and what I need to do to make it happen. Right. So she's the perfect person to be able to push me and tell me like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. To make it happen to get there. And also she's somebody that's been in the industry a super long time. So she's also somebody good for my head. Like, hey, you know that going into your first Olympia, you know, you're not going to win, just those type of things. You know, that's sometimes good to hear because there is politics in this sport and there is things that you need to hear from people that are close to you, you know, and keep you in check. So she's really good for that. And it is motivating, obviously, for us to both be able to compete there. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Anyway, boys, thank you so much for doing this. We'll speak to you guys next week and we'll have a name by the time this next episode comes out. And it might be pump and dump. It might be banter and bodybuilding and banter. It might be something you guys suggest in the comments as well. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And for Nathan De Asha, Brett Wilkin, and Martin Fitzwater, and myself, Xavier Wills, we are